Good, beautiful, snowy Sunday evening here in southern West Virginia on our homestead. Tonight I am prepping for the week, kind of getting a meal plan together, looking at our calendar. And something that I desperately need to do with the season that it is, holidays and get-togethers and things, I know that I'm going to be eating out, eating a lot of things that I don't normally eat, and so it's going to wreak havoc on my gut. And so because of that, I'm going to go ahead and prep ahead tonight while I'm putting the house to bed, finishing up a little bit of Christmas decorating. I'm actually going to get together some broth. Now, the beautiful thing about broth is you can make it out of any bones that you have. You can make it out of chicken bones. You can make it, if you're a hunter and you've been bear hunting or deer hunting, you can use your deer bones, your venison bones. Right now, we just recently got back our steer. And so I'm going to be making beef bone broth. And I'm going to add a couple extra goodies now. When I'm not feeling good, when I'm under the weather, I normally just do some salt, apple cider vinegar, and the bones on a low simmer for about 12 hours. But tonight, since I'm feeling good, and I know this is to help boost my immune system, I'm going to actually do some herbs and some seasonings in it. Number one, it's going to make it taste really delicious, and number two, it's just going to give me a boost for my immune system and for some of the other benefits, anti-inflammatories and what have you. So I'm going to take you guys along for that, a super simple thing that's pretty passive actually once you get it going, so that's pretty sweet. Alright, so I went down to the freezer and grabbed a bowl full of bones. There's a couple of ways that you can cook these bones down. Some people will put them straight into like a crock pot, cover them up with water. Again, I like to add a little bit of salt and apple cider vinegar to it and just let this cook all night long. If you want to do all of your bones at the same time, you could get like one of the huge turkey roasters, throw it in, let it cook all night long, and then you have broth that you can freeze or you can can. Today, I'm actually going to use my stovetop Dutch oven. And then that way, that's just what I'm going to choose to use for tonight. I can reheat it. This pot will actually, I'll cook it down twice. The first time, we'll get a lot of like the gelatinous, thick stuff. And then the second time through, it'll still be pretty gelatinous, but it'll be a little less intense. So one could be used for soup or a pan sauce. For me, again, I'm just going to use this to drink. I like to drink a cup of it in the morning for breakfast instead of eating a ton of food. This kind of helps reset my gut, and it's really, really good for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and sear these off a little bit. They are frozen, so I'm not going to get a super good sear on them, but it'll at least get me started. I'm just going to use a little oil on the bottom, just so it doesn't stick and burn. But there is some fat on these bones and some of the meat still, so that'll help render down as well, and that'll create just a nice grease on the bottom. Let this heat up, and then we'll toss these in just to get a little bit of a sear. Just adds a little bit more flavor to the broth. So a lot of people will get their bones back from their butcher and for their dogs, which is one reason why my butcher puts them in that big bag like I showed you earlier, is because a lot of people are just asking them for their dogs. Well, our dogs are going to get these, but we're going to get a little bit more benefit out of them before we give them to the dogs. So we're going to sear these down for a little bit, and while we're searing these, we're actually going to get started on some of the things that we're going to add to our pot. Great, so the first thing that we are going to add is an onion, because first of all, onions are absolutely delicious. And second of all, onions actually have a lot of health benefits. They have some antioxidant properties in them that help with inflammation, that help with immune boosts and things like that. They're found to potentially help with heart conditions or cancer conditions and things like that. So onions are just a great addition to this broth. Now, I'm going to just slice these because it'll kind of have almost a French onion feel if the onions get into my mug, as opposed to a chunked up. Maybe this should belong in green beans. gonna dice these like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and just throw this whole onion in. Alright, so I got those chopped, but this is a very strong onion. A little bit of turds. Alright, we're gonna get these bones flipped. How about that? Battle with the butter. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to add to my broth actually is another one of my favorites, is garlic. Now, earlier this year, we had some curing issues in our garlic. Our basement where I normally cure it was extremely humid this year, and so I started having issues with the garlic going bad. So, we turned the problem into a solution and actually we went ahead and processed all of our bulbs and pre-chopped a bunch of them into 2 tablespoon quantities and then froze them. We actually used muffin tin, silicone muffin tins, but you could use any sort of shape if you wanted to, but these were just nice because it was like a perfect 2 tablespoons. Froze it, and then once they were completely frozen, stuck them in baggies and stored them in the freezer that way. Alright, so I'm watching my stock pot, and where I think it's where it's frozen, the fat that's on there is just not rendering down, and so to keep it from sticking, I'm going to add some tallow, or you could add any other fat. I'm almost out of olive oil, so we're going to do some tallow, which is rendered down beef fat. To it will just enhance the flavor, plus it'll keep the meat from sticking on the bottom. I've already talked about 2 more things that I'm going to add to this broth, but one of them is going to be an apple cider vinegar. We love apple cider vinegar. It's an immune booster. Again, it has more antioxidants. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's an antibacterial, antifungal. So it is a jack of all trades. Wonderful thing to add to it. And then we're also going to add some more sea salt. This, especially like a non-iodinized, non-processed sea salt is really good because it's going to add a bunch of trace minerals that you need to be able to process the nutrients that you're putting into your body. So we're going to add some salt. Plus salt is just delicious. Who doesn't love salt? Salt is good. So we're going to get this all mixed together in our pot and get it simmering. And maybe just 1 tablespoon. Again, apple cider vinegar, it also helps break down the collagen in the bones and in the broth, which is crucial for like bone structure and muscle structure. So especially if you're like in a process of rehabbing and becoming healthier, or if you're in a process of healing, it's really good. So I'm going to let these onions and garlic just kind of cook for a little bit, and then we'll add the bones in, add some filtered water on top, and let this cook the rest of the evening. So let's be real, I'm not actually like a health expert, but I am on this health journey. I'm in this process of maximizing what we grow and minimizing waste, but also enjoying what we're doing. And so being able to find a way to create things that are healthy and beneficial, but also are kind of hands-off. I mean, I would be able to sit here and read a book, drink my drink. I'm actually gonna go finish decorating my Christmas tree while this is cooking down. But it's a super simple way to maximize your grocery budget. Even a lot of butchers, they just have bones or lard just sitting there that people don't want. And so you could call your local butcher and ask them, hey, do you have any bones that you need to offload? And you could make really, pretty relatively healthy broth for almost nothing. And that's pretty exciting. I haven't looked recently. I'll put below like how much the average just organic, not even pasture-raised, but organic bone broth is in my area. And if I hadn't asked for these bones that's money wasted, you know, that, and then there's the health benefits that are wasted as well. So it's pretty awesome. Broth is just one of those super simple things to make, but it's so good. You can use it in soup, you could use it in mashed potatoes, you could cook down your rice in it instead of just plain water and add the nutrition to that. It's just so flexible. Me, again, I'm just gonna drink this just like I would a cup of coffee or a tea. It's just gonna be my cup of broth in the morning. So super excited to have this cooking. Now I'm gonna go decorate a Christmas tree. One last thing I'm gonna add to this, my son was making a recipe and it called for some fresh thyme. So believe it or not, this thyme was surviving the snow. So before it goes bad in my little cup of water, I'm just gonna throw these couple sprigs of thyme in. Again, thyme is one of those powerhouse herbs. It's relatively easy once it's established to grow as a perennial, or you can just grow it in pots as an annual. But it is an antimicrobial, an antifungal, an anti-inflammatory. Like, it's, again, another one of those herbs that's a powerhouse that's awesome to add to a broth when you're trying to use it as a healing agent. So, gonna get this cooking down and gonna put a lid on it and let it go. All right, so it's the next morning and we're gonna get this going again. You can see, like, the fat has rendered down, like, on the grease top. Just like it would on a roast or something else that has a lot of fat content in it. So, but that will melt down and just become part of the broth here as we get this reheated. Alright, so we got that heated up. Now we're just going to reduce it down to real low and just let it simmer all morning long. Alright, so it is obviously the next morning. I already guys showed you what the broth is. So next up, what I'm going to do, if you don't mind the bits of meat, the bits of onions, you can just scoop the broth straight into a mug. I'm actually going to strain it to make it just a little bit smoother for me this morning, and I'm going to drink that with my breakfast. So the onion and the garlic, I'll return to the pot and we'll have strained broth. Okay, so for me personally, I think broth is one of the easiest things that you can make to start somewhere. It's potentially using up somebody else's waste if you go get it from your butcher. It's maximizing your purchase as far as like a half of a cow. And it's also really healthy for you, and you can only boost, you can just keep boosting it with all the things that you add to it as you make it. So I encourage you, if you've never made homemade broth, give it a try. If you like it weaker, you can simmer it shorter time. You can add extra water to it. If you like it stronger, then reduce that down just a little bit more and enjoy yourself a nice glass of broth on a cold, snowy morning. All right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.